Hey guys, it's Dr. Sam Robbins. Today's a real important video. It's basically what's the best ED pill for harder and bigger erections based on clinical studies. So if you want harder, bigger erections on demand, then this is the perfect video for you. I'm going to just talk about the effectiveness, which ones are the best, and based on the newest studies, and also share my personal experience with you on these drugs. And I bring this up because I received an important email. It's going to be a little bit long, but just bear with me. Dr. Robbins, I have a problem and I desperately need your help. My wife and I want to have a baby. A year ago, my testosterone levels were really low, only 382. My sperm level, health, and mobility was also on the low end. This is going to be really important when you figure out what happens. Since following your videos and implementing your suggestions, my testosterone levels have more than doubled to 807, and my sperm quality has also improved. So we're both happy about that. I take alpha viral daily. I take also vitamin D and K, fish oil, magnesium, extra zinc. My erections are much better than a year ago. I feel very good and confident. But here's the problem. Because of my wife's ovulation schedule, she wants me to have sex at weird times due to her body temperature, menstrual cycle, and so forth. Honestly, I can't get erect all the time. Sometimes I'm just tired or stressed out about life. So I wanted to take an ED drug like Viagra or Cialis to help out during such times. I need, when I need extra help, if you know what I mean, all right. But I don't know which ones to take, what's the best, what's the differences, what are the side effects. I can't afford to hire you, but can you please give me some suggestions or guidance? I really want to help my wife get pregnant. It's our first baby. So I know this is really important, whether you're trying to get someone pregnant or you're trying to get erection, or you just say, I don't really shit. I just want to get erect whenever I want. So I totally understand. I've had a lot of clients deal with this, being able to get erections and, the baby thing. My brother dealt with it. My cousin dealt with it, trying to get an erection on demand whenever someone else wants to and you're not ready can be difficult and takes the fun out of it. So what are all the different ED drugs? There's about 4 or 5 of them. And they're classified as PD5 inhibitors. They basically work by increasing the blood flow to the penis, which is cool, which is essential for achieving an erection. Another side benefit they have is they lower blood pressure, which is the original reason they were first found out about them. They do not cause an erection, right, on their own. You need some kind of stimulation, whether it's mental, right, you see something visually, or typically you need to be touched, all right? Also, the higher your testosterone levels, the better these drugs work. In fact, these drugs, such as Viagra, Cialis, and so forth, they do not work in about 40% of men. One of the primary reasons is because they have low testosterone levels. And the irony is the younger you are, the better they work. And the older you are, they don't. Ironically, the older guys need it. Now, the good news is, in this situation, this person's doubled their testosterone, which is great. Their erections are better. He's doing all the right things. So another benefit is when your testosterone is higher and you're doing all the right things, you need even lower dose of such drugs. All right. So there's, again, the main ones. I'll just talk about one of them, as you heard about, is Viagra. There you go. The next one is Cialis. I'll talk about how they are. And the next one that's also, fairly popular, it's been around, is Levitra. And then there's a new one called, it's about 10 years old. It's called Stendra, which I have not used it. I don't have it, or I'd show you. So what are the half-lives? What are the differences between these drugs? And it's mainly the half-life. Those are the biggest differences between the drugs, even though they do hit, PD5 different receptors a little bit differently, but it's the half-life. That means how quickly the drug hits you, how effective you can get your erection, and then how long it stays in your system. The Viagra, which is sildenafil, and the Levitra, which is the vardenafil, they act similarly. The half-life, basically, it's in your system for about 4 to 6 hours at least, and the onset time is about 30 minutes. So it takes about 30 minutes for them to really kick in. Now, the one difference is the Levitra can be taken with food, but the Viagra has been shown that it's best to take on an empty stomach. And I'll talk about this more in a minute to make them way more effective. Then there is the newest one, which is Stendra, and it's called Avanafil. And that has a little bit longer half-life. Instead of 46 hours, it's about 6 to 10 hours. And again, different varies on how your metabolism and so forth. For me, things happen way quicker. And the onset time, how quickly it hits you, is only about 15 minutes. That's the biggest difference. Versus, the Viagra is about 30 minutes or so. This one only takes about 15 minutes, which is important for some guys. They want it on demand. It can also be taken with food. So on paper, it seems that Stendra is a little bit better than Viagra and Levitra because it works faster and it lasts a little bit longer. And then we have one of the most popular ones, which is the Cialis. That has the longest half-life, which is about 24 to 36 hours, just a day and a half. And so it lasts the longest and also takes a little bit longer to kick in versus the other ones of 15 minutes or 30 minutes. This takes maybe about 45 minutes to maximum an hour. So keep that in mind. Um, Now, the half-life means basically, keep something in mind just as an education bar. Half-life means how long the drug is, half of it is in there. So for example, if something takes 4 hours, let's say you take Viagra 4 hours at 8 a.m., half of the drug is still in your system roughly 4 to 6 hours later. So if you took 50 milligrams, 46 hours later, another half is still left at 25 milligrams. So even though I say, hey, this thing's only lasting for 4 hours, no, that's half the life. So typically will last at least another, 8 hours to 12 hours. So keep that in mind. It doesn't magically just start wearing off at 4 hours later. Same thing with Cialis, right? It's got that 1.5 day thing. It's literally in your system for almost, 2 or 3 days. Um, just keep that in mind. The higher the dose, the longer it lasts. If it's 100 milligram Viagra, 4 hours later, it's 50 milligrams. 4 hours later, it's 25 milligrams. 4 hours later, it's 12.5 milligrams, and so on and so forth. The other thing that major can help with all this is with or without food. Now, even though most of them will say, hey, you can take it with food, except the Viagra, they say it's best to take on an empty stomach. All of them will work much better on an empty stomach. And by empty stomach, I mean at least 2 hours after a meal and at least, half an hour to an hour before your meal. So again, if you are, let's say you're gonna have sex at 7 p.m. and you ate at 5, you better, keep that in mind. You just have to have at least 2 hours to do it. Now, if you just said, shit, man, I just ate a bunch of food and now she wants to have sex and what should I do? Well, you can take the tablet, grind it down right in your teeth, and then put it underneath your tongue and just let it sit there for at least 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and it'll dissolve underneath your tongue and it'll bypass everything and get right into your bloodstream way faster, bypassing the stomach. And then whatever doesn't dissolve, you can just, swish it down with a bottle of water and it'll go down. Um, so the only difference is also if you do take it with food, doesn't mean it doesn't work. It just means that it takes a longer time before it kicks in. And it's also loses some of this potency. So again, if you took 50 milligrams of Viagra and it's supposed to kick in 30 minutes on an empty stomach, it might take 45 minutes to kick in, and that 50 milligrams will act more like, let's say, 40 milligrams. So let's talk about how effective they are based on the clinical studies, including the side effects. It was a huge meta-analysis clinical study, which basically takes into lots of clinical studies and thousands of users. And it basically showed that the Viagra showed the highest improvement in erections. So sildenafil, the Viagra at 50 milligrams, at 47% improvement. That's pretty good. The next one was so Viagra was number one, sildenafil. The next one was Cialis, the taldolafil. At 10 milligrams, it improved erections by 33%. The Verdenafil improved by 35%. So again, they're almost the same. And the Avanafil was 100 milligrams is 29%. So once again, Viagra 50 milligrams, 47%. Cialis 10 milligrams at 35%. Sildenafil 10 milligrams, 35%, and the Afanafil at 100 milligrams at 29%. Just keep in mind that these dosages were not the highest dosages or the lowest, they're right in the middle. For example, the maximum dose of Viagra is 100 milligrams, the lowest is 25 milligrams. This test, they did it at 50 milligrams. This goes with all the drugs. So there was right in the middle. Based on this, again, Viagra wins out at 47%. So that's pretty good. Now let's talk about the negative side effects, such as you have headaches, you have flushing, you have indigestion, you might have stomach problems. You will have low blood pressure. Also, I remember someone told me, a friend of mine, he took it. And again, this was when he was trying to get his wife pregnant and he collapsed and smashed his head on his toilet, had to go to the hospital because his blood pressure dropped so much that he just fainted. So keep that in mind. Another problem with taking these drugs, you have heart palpitations. Your heart will speed up because you have this big rush of nitric oxide, and you'll have the nasal congestion. Basically, you can't breathe, and chicks are gonna be like, "What's wrong?" You're gonna have bloodshot eyes, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, I'm just allergic to something," when it's the Viagra or Cialis. Now, all right, let's talk about the side effects. The Viagra had the highest side effects at 18% compared to the other ones, while the Cialis had the lowest side effects at 10 milligrams. And that just goes to show you with everything, all right? Um, the more powerful the drug, the more side effects. Where Cialis was one of the lowest ones as far as, hitting you so hard because it is slow, slowly gets in your system, so it doesn't hit you so hard, and it has the least side effects. So this is again typically true of drugs. So which one should you take, right? Now you got all the stats. I obviously can't give you any medical advice. Always speak to your doctor before you do anything in this world, blah, 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 disclaimer. But all of this depends on how quickly you need it to work. Obviously, what do you have access to? And right here, I've got access to all three and I can go have a fun time. But what do you have access to? So that depends on you. Also, how quickly do you need it, right? If she wants you, if you're like, oh shit, I'm in a jam, I better, take some right away. You need is something faster acting, right? The event, like the, Viagra kicks in real quick, or again, you put it underneath your tongue if you need it to happen quicker. Or shit, man, you're going away for the weekend. You don't know what's going to happen, maybe in the morning, maybe at night, maybe in the afternoon. You're going for a little holiday for the weekend, a little trip, then just take the Cialis because it's take a pill, 10 milligrams or whatever. It's good the whole weekend. You're on call. It's always going to be effective. All right. Also, each person is different. You're all going to respond differently to the drugs. I know people who love Viagra and they don't like Cialis. I know vice versa, Cialis. So keep that in mind. Also, always start at the lowest dose. You don't know how you're going to respond, and better. I always tell people, just take the lowest dose. Why not? Save yourself money. If you need to, you can always increase the dose later. Also, keep in mind that your body will adapt to all these drugs. It's not going to work as well. You take Cialis every day. I had an older friend of mine. I told him to take Cialis for prostate problems and so forth. He was taking my Alpha Vero product to increase his, testosterone, libido, and all that. But he was still having some prostate problems. Instead of taking prostate drug, he started taking 5 milligrams of Cialis every day, which is what is actually designed for 5 milligrams prescribed for that. This guy's like, man, I'm walking around with an erection all the time. The first 3 to 4 weeks. He said, after that, I stopped feeling it. And it wasn't even working anymore. His prostate was still good, but the erection quality went. That's why you should not take them all the time and use them as needed. And you can also just cycle them. Maybe you take Viagra sometimes, maybe take Cialis, and so on and so forth. Again, something to consider. Finally, the higher your testosterone, the better these drugs work. Okay, I've said it so many times. So again, do something to increase your testosterone. You guys have seen my videos enough. Underneath this video in the description area, I'm going to put the exact best methods to increase your testosterone naturally. So you can use, the Cialis, Viagra, whatever you want as needed as a little insurance. Some guys just use it because it's like on a first date, first time, you're nervous. Maybe you had too much alcohol to drink or whatever. Even though things are good, you don't want the anxiety. Anxiety will shut down your erection. So you don't take it for a little insurance reasons. All right. However, just don't get addicted to always needing to take it, because then it's going to play mind games and you won't be able to perform if you don't have it. Like, shoot, I don't have any, maybe I can't get any erection. No. Again, be smart. I hope this was helpful. Let me know what questions you have. I'll do more detailed videos about it. Anything else in the future, take a look below in the description area. Leave your comments. And again, subscribe if you haven't, because I get a lot of people saying, hey, I'm not getting your emails.